gentlemen, tonight we've got some Guild Ball for you. This is a game against a friend who I've managed to lure into wargaming. I think we've played about 3 or 4 games against each other at this point. We are by no means experts, by which I mean we've got no idea what we're doing, pretty much. But we had a really fun time and I felt like recording it. The channel needs some filler content. So my opponent is playing Morticians and he's got an Obulus crew or team. We're using Malifaux proxies. And he's using the team box lineup. So over here we've got Graves, Silence, Obulus, Ghast, Dirge, and Cosset. For my part, I've got my favourite Skatha team, led by Skatha, Chaska, Snow, Veteran Hern, Cena the Bear, and Minx. Poor Minx! I'm getting her uses in before I lose her to whatever new changes to Union and mini guilds are coming this way. For terrain, we've got 2 impassable objects, and then this, I forget what it's called, but basically it's a soft object that you can advance through, but you can't push or charge or do all that stuff through. I get told to kick off, so I give the ball to Skatha, trot her up, and place the perfect kick just off by this terrain. For influence allocation, I've given Skatha 5 for that first turn goal run, 2 on Chaska, 1 on Snow, 2 on Hern, 1 on Cena, nothing on Minx. The idea here is to give Skatha armor and ignores armor. Don't really know why I gave Hern 2. Perhaps I was thinking he could move up and then fire a spear at something. Have a bit of range threat in the early game. Cena and Minx have got their free furious charges, and I put an extra influence on Cena, as if it looks like I'm not going to be able to get the ball with Skatha, then I will snowball Cena forwards, and it's always nice to get an extra attack in. Can't see how the Morticians have dished out their influence, but I'm pretty sure it's something like 6 on Obulus, 2 on Silence, 2 on Graves, 1 on Ghast, nothing on Dirge, and 2 on Cosset, perhaps. And let's sweep in with the camera to check out the fine arses of my players. And this phone camera is really pissing me off. It never focuses. Morticians go, Silence sprints up, grabs the ball, passes it to Obulus. So, yep, I'm not getting that back. I go Chaska, armor, Skatha up, and run up to here by the hedge. Boombox range of Silence, should I need to be able to drop a trap, which I did forget. I forgot my trap, because I'm pro. The idea being here that if Obulus wants to steal Skatha away for a beating, then at least she'll be a bit more durable. And I was thinking Chaska's fairly tough, and he's in cover, although fortunately not in his rough ground. We'll deal with that. On hindsight, this is quite a vulnerable position for him, because I guess Obulus could make him walk off over here, and then get dirged and cosseted. And that would be quite painful. So perhaps not the best move. As the match progresses, Graves jogs up to stand by Silence in this hedge. Snow comes up to put anatomical precision on Skatha. It's pretty useless in this team. I think only Ghast has armor and he's just not worth attacking. Dirge flies up to this rock and I'm thinking he's trying to bait me in for a counter charge by Cosset. So I go with Hern and just kind of hold the center. No viable last light targets as I don't really have an influence. A momentum, sorry. And so waste the influence. My opponent surprises me a bit by going with Cosset. I think this was too early. And yeah, basically just puts her up to here, within pretty much, I think, within threat range, definitely of Minx, and maybe he's trying to bait me in, double sweeten me the deal, and then try to hit me with Ghast and Obulus, perhaps. But I quite like this development, so I go with Skatha. I use a snowball to dodge the bear up forwards onto the fast ground, and then throw a cold snap over at these guys, hitting Graves, not hitting Silence. Ghast crawls up to the center. Not a lot else he can do, and I charge Cosset with Minx. Able to use the fast ground, so I can go all the way over to here, avoid being, crowded out by the bird. Slap Cosset for a little bit of damage. I think 3 damage, actually. I hit the end of my playbook. And some dodges, and snared. That all-important snared, and then at the end of the activation, dodge out over to here. Basically thinking that if he wants to get retribution on Minx, it will at least take him out of his way, pull him away from the center, pull him away from my gold into the no man's land backfield. And if I get the initiative, it might be nice to charge away at something else. The Morticians activate Obulus and make what I think is a really nice play. Obulus shadow likes himself up a little bit and moves, and then Puppet Master's Ghast to walk into between the Cena and his nice juicy target. He can't quite get the angle, and I still would have been able to charge Cosset, looking potentially for the kill there. But then he passes the ball to Ghast, using the dodge to dodge Ghast forwards and into base contact with where the bear was, which I thought was a brilliant move. So I can't roar him out of engagement range, and because I've only got one influence allocated to him, I also can't attack Ghast because of his stupid fear aura. So he's put the ball well up the pitch and totally shut down Cena, and yeah, so all I can do really is walk around. I walk into cover and hope I can get to punish him next turn. We both end the turn on 1 momentum each, and the Morticians win the roll-off for initiative. God, that's a terrible picture. So I allocate 4 influence to Skatha, 3 to Chaska, none to Snow, 2 to Hearn, 2 to the Bear, and 1 to Minx. Morticians allocate 6 to Obulus, 3 to Ghast, 2 to Silence, 2 to Graves, and none to Cosset and Dirge. Ghast goes, momentously knocks down the Bear, hits him again for another momentous, possibly damage, walks out into goal shooting range, shoots the goal, scores, and dodges in to engage this big group of hunters. I kick the ball out to the left flank of the pitch, and it scatters quite favourably. Cena takes revenge, using the momentum to stand up, charges Cosset, and bear hugs the shit out of her. This blurry piece of shit is showing Graves moving up to attack Chaska, doing a little bit of damage, and I forget to dodge away to the Hound. Possibly wouldn't have taken me out of Graves' engagement range anyway. Hearn now finds he has someone to attack that won't cost him all his influence, so he strolls over to Graves and completely flubs. That's not true. I do get a 1 result on my playbook, and so choose the 1 non-momentous damage, which was a mistake. I definitely should have chosen the 1 non-momentous push, and I think in general, as a rule, if you get the chance between a bit of damage, or like 1 damage or 1 push, always take the push. I could have used that push to push Graves into Skatha's engagement, increasing the likelihood that Hearn's second attack would have gone through for the knockdown. Chaska was then going to boombox this guy, and Skatha could use him to get pushes out of Ghast's engagement and go off, get the ball. As it is, I've now got to waste Chaska's influence in trying to push Graves into that position. I make this mistake even worse by using Last Light on Hearn, and I got no momentum to do anything really with that. Oh yes I do, I've got tons from the Bear's kill. I just don't think chucking a spear is worth using that momentum, sorry. But it would have been fantastic to give Chaska another boombox. So yeah, completely fuck that activation. Obulus goes and makes a bit of a blunder coming towards the combat and then trying to Puppet Master Skatha and failing. I think he wanted to walk her away over here so that she couldn't get to the ball so easily. I couldn't really see what his options were either at the time, but in hindsight it might have been better to Puppet Master Hearn or Ghast and get them to knock down Skatha, something like that. Or even just beat on Hearn, who knows. So then Chaska goes, he walks up, hits Graves, knock him towards Skatha, and then remembers to drop his trap. Dirge flies over and blocks the bear's route towards the centre. This is great for me as Dirge has now moved out of the cover, which was making him a very unappealing target, and now Minx has a decent charge target that will get her back into kind of the central play. Oh, forgot to mention, Obulus stole one of Chaska's influence and gave it to Silence, which meant I couldn't boombox. Not that I wanted to anymore after the mistake I'd made by not putting Graves into Skatha's engagement range to begin with. Finally, we get a decent picture. This is just showing Minx charged the bird, put it down on its last wound, I think, snared it, and then dodged off. And I'm thinking here, potential snapshot target. I think she's out of range, but getting a charge and some snared on Silence will make him quite nice as a stepping stone if I need to on the way to the goal with somebody. And also threaten where Cosset can safely come back on. In the meantime, Silence has triggered the trap, cleared the condition, and then blasted his fire onto all my guys. So Skatha, Snow, and Hearn are all on fire and damaged. Damn it! Oh my goodness, this is bad. Honestly, guys, I've had this channel a couple of years now. Anyway, Skatha escapes, uses the fast ground and some pushes and snowballs, snowballing off Chaska, I believe, to get to where the ball is, but doesn't pick it up because Obulus is a boring old man who likes to puppet master people. I'm going to go back to this picture because the other one was so hateful. I've got all the momentum, so I'm guaranteed the choice of the next turn. I choose to go second, as there's nothing that really worries me about his first activation. I put 4 influence on Skatha, 4 on Chaska, 1 on Hearn, none on Snow, 2 on the Bear, and none on Minx. The Morticians bring Cosset back on over here, and I think they put something like 2 influence on her, 6 on Obulus as always, 2 on Silence, 2 on Graves, and 2 on Ghast. Cosset charges Minx and bounces, and I go with Cena, use my momentum to bonus time the attack on the bird, getting the bear hug, and then charging off into the crowded out Cosset, getting the bear hug. Oh, you crazy, crazy bear, I love you. Silence goes, makes Chaska have to go next, and then gets over to Minx and attacks her. She counterattacks and dodges away. She's pretty badly damaged now, possibly on 1 or 2 wounds left. Maybe in the first turn, Obulus had used some influence to attack her and do some damage. And I forgot to tell you, 5 wounds on left. She's on 5 wounds left. Chaska boomboxes Graves, walks up to be a snowball target for Skatha's goal run, and drops a trap near Obulus. Maybe I didn't give him 4 influence. Maybe he only had 3. Otherwise, I probably would have boomboxed something else. Obulus goes. That's right. Hearn had 2 influence. So Obulus steals one of Hearn's influence, gives it to Graves. Legendaries to steal my 1 momentum. Kills Minx, no problem, and looks like he knocks down the bear. I believe he used one of his momentum to clear the snared condition from the trap as well. So it's up to Hearn, who punches Graves, getting that all-important 1 momentum, knocking him down. Graves clears conditions, stands up, and starts hitting my hound. 3 influence, and the dog's burning, he's taken some damage already. Can't kill him. My opponent was rolling like shit. So it's up to Skatha. She goes, sprints across her fast ground, makes a snowball, passes it to Chaska, dodges forward, not quite into snapshot range, and puts the goal away. Ending the game 12-6 to the Hunters. Obviously, that went quite well for me. Pretty much came all down to the Cena rape train. 3 bear hugs was a little bit luckier than I deserved. And Cosset does mad damage, but she is definitely the weak spot in the Morticians team in terms of giving up all those VP. I thought my opponent's first turn play to shut down Cena was an amazing bit of play. Really impressed by that. And getting a goal with Ghast is even more impressive. I don't think dodging him away to tie down the bulk of my crew was a bad idea, but leaving the bear to wander free definitely cost him the game. This was his first time facing Cena. Previously, we've played, and I take Ulfa instead of Cena, and oh my god, that is a bad team, especially into Obulus. So yeah, turning things up a notch with a kind of a rude introduction to a heavy beater, but he's definitely gonna know to respect the bear next time. And I certainly like this team into Obulus much better. I think you need to kind of go killy rather than football-y. If that's news to anyone, I doubt it is. Hearn's actions fluffed up big time, but in terms of his position, I liked it. His 2-inch reach is so useful for crowd outs and getting that all-important, just that little push towards the scores that or the playbook results that the Hunters really need to be effective. And just managing to get that momentum when needed was crucial. I messed up his last light. I never play that well, but it would have been better to put it on Chaska rather than himself. Forgetting Chaska's trap is annoying. Need to get better at that. Snow, I'm really disappointed with how I played. Literally did nothing but provide a crowd out balance. And I think rather than positioning like this to try to make sure it's as useful as possible to all members of the crew or as many members of the team as it can be, I'm starting to feel is a trap. It just seems to reduce the likelihood that the attack angle is going to, come from a direction in such a way that the push will matter. And I mean, this Morticians team is a pretty forgiving one to take Snow into anyway, as they don't have that many knockdowns. Obviously Ghast and Obulus, but I don't think anybody else. Maybe Graves, I don't know him very well. So my thinking for Snow now is to use him to support a one specific model like Hearn, who's going to be right there in the centre, taking the flak. We'll send him after Cena just to get that risk that Cena will get to push out of engagement and basically force your opponent to knock them down instead of doing damage. Thinking about that sounds kind of terrible, as most things attacking Hearn or the bear will have to knock them down anyway or risk being knocked down in return. Chaska may be the one to support. To be honest, I really struggle with Snow. Not a model I've unlocked yet. Skatha is a fucking boss, and I love her. And I'll end on that note. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care.